y'all, it's Hannah and Jeremy. Before we said goodbye to the summer of 2022, we took a weekend getaway to South Florida. There were a few things in the South Florida area that we've had on our bucket list for quite a while, so we decided to pack them all into one weekend. After a long stretch across Alligator Alley, we made it to our first stop and homestead, the Coral Castle.
The Coral Castle tops all the lists of the best roadside attractions or weird places in Florida. A lot of mystery surrounds how this place was built by one very petite man named Ed in the 1920s. He didn't have the use of heavy machinery or modern technology.
Saturn, very good. Big crescent moon, and that little moon is called...
We joined up with the tour group and learned all about the history of the castle from the most animated tour guide.
He built 2 castles in honor of the lady who never even dared to show up.
In true romance novel fashion, the castle was built for Ed's one true love, but she never came to live there with him or even visit it. Most of the items within the castle are made up of their own individual pieces of stone that weigh on average 15 tons. The largest piece weighs over 30 tons. The History Channel has visited on multiple occasions, adding to the interest but continuing to fuel the skepticism.
We made our way down to South Beach, Miami to check into our hotel for the weekend. We stayed at the historic Blue Moon Hotel in Miami's Art Deco district.
We had dinner at Havana, Vieja, one of the most highly rated Cuban restaurants in Miami, which is definitely saying something. Jeremy convinced me to try the grilled octopus, which was, to my surprise, very good.
And we ordered a traditional dish of pollo asado with pickled onions, moro rice, and tostones. The next morning, we headed to the barrier island of Key Biscayne, and we made our way down to Bagg Cape State Park. Besides from the giant iguanas and the beautiful shorelines, the thing that Hannah wanted most to see was the lighthouse.
The Cape Florida Light is our 9th lighthouse in Florida, which we've been slowly visiting since 2016. It's hard to plan a whole trip around visiting a lighthouse, but if we find ourselves within driving distance of one we haven't seen yet, we always add it to the itinerary.
My name's Tim. I volunteer at state parks in Florida. I stayed there for a couple months in my RV and moved. Ponce de Leon was exploring up and down the coast here, and on this island he found fresh water springs just a short distance inland. So that was very valuable to him. He would come here often and replenish his water supply. So when he drew the maps of this area, he drew this little island and named it La Florida. And when you look at the house where the lightkeeper and his family live, it's a house that belongs up in New England somewhere. It's got heavy-duty cedar shingles on the roof to withstand very heavy snowfall, and the first floor has a huge fireplace on either end for the cold winter nights that we don't get here. So they took what they knew how to build and brought it by ship down here to build it. I'm going to walk us about halfway down the walkway here. We'll stop and talk about the actual building.
The lighthouse is only open to climb on certain days and only twice a day. We skipped the climb this time due to the extreme heat. It is still August in South Florida after all.
And that is the Bowie Rocks Reef Light. In the 1870s, they developed the technology where they could drill down into the reef and attach a structure and the
Originally built in 1825 and rebuilt in 1866, the lighthouse was erected to warn ships of the Florida Reef, which extends well beyond Key Biscayne and down into the Keys. The Florida Parks Service took over the property in the 1960s and now manages the light's preservation and maintenance, including the project that restored the light in 1996.
Next week, we will spend the day in Key Largo, visiting the History of Diving Museum and taking the reef tour by boat at John Pennycamp Coral Reef State Park. Spoiler alert, Jeremy got very seasick.